Hey everybody, welcome to our tutorial on importing iMotions into CrazyTalk Animator 2 and applying them to your characters. In this tutorial we're going to cover just that. We're going to be taking some iMotion files from our 3D software iClone, and we're going to be applying those to our characters in CTA2. So right here on the screen we have Walter. We're going to be applying some iMotions to him momentarily. I'm just going to go over to my iClone here. You can see we have Chuck is our default G5 iClone character here on the screen, and I'm going to be applying some animations to him and then showing you how those can transfer to CrazyTalk Animator 2. So let's start off with a really simple animation first. Let's go into our animation tab, into the motion section here, and let's go down to our G5 Chuck motions. We'll just use a simple walk first of all. So I'm just going to double click on this original walk here, and you can see there's Chuck's basic walk. I can just, play that back, and there you go. That's the walk that we're going to be applying to Walter. So let's click and drag this walk. We can click and drag it directly from the Content Manager in iClone, and then Alt-Tab over to CTA2, and you can see now we have that walk applied to Walter. But you may see there's a couple of issues with the feet. There's some unnecessary sprite switching, which we don't really need. If we wanted to fix that, there's a really simple way to fix it. Let's go ahead and select Walter. Let's go ahead and go into our sprite editor. We can also use the S hotkey, and if I want, I can select his foot right now. And currently, this 3D motion, the iMotion, is dictating which sprites should be switched at which time. And this isn't always 100% accurate, so you may want to do some subtle sprite switching to make those sprites appear at the right angle. So to do this, I'm going to select the foot at frame 1 and select Custom Angle. And you can see I have Custom Angle 0 selected, which is the profile we want, the front-facing one. So I can just double-click that, and it pops it back into place. And we'll do the same thing with the right foot. We have Custom Angle selected, just double-click the right foot, and then if I go ahead and play back, you can see now we have our front-facing walk without the feet going to the side. So we can press F3, and you can see if I select each one of my foot, the left foot sprite is switched for that duration there. The right one as well. If I wanted at any point to remove those, I can do that as well. I'll show you that in another example here. So I can just go into my 3D motion track here, and if I wanted, let's zoom out on the timeline a little bit, and I can just click and drag and loop this walk. So you can see there we have our general nice walk with his head cut off. So we can see a little bit more of his head there. You can see that. So you can take any of these motions from iClone directly into CrazyTalk Animator. Normally it's a really easy fix. So let's see, for example, if I wanted, let's go out of the sprite editor for a moment. If I wanted to take this at a 90 degree angle. So we have Walter selected now. I'm going to use the left bracket key to switch him over to a 90 degree profile. And you can see that it looks kind of like he's walking on either tiny little feet or his feet are at the wrong sprite profile. The case that we're dealing with right now, it's the latter, so we'll go to our sprite editor again, and let's select his feet. So you can see now currently the feet are at a custom angle of 0. Let's deselect that, and I'm going to release this back to the original position, which is at the 90 degree profile. We'll do the same thing for the right foot, and just go ahead and release that, and both feet will pop into their correct profiles. So you can see now we have the correct walking motion. Now, if I wanted to save this as a 3D motion, it wouldn't really matter, the sprites on my feet. But if I wanted to save this as a 2D motion, it would definitely matter, which sprites were at the correct position and at the right angle for your character's angle profile. So let's go ahead and get out of the timeline here. We can close down the sprite editor for now, and let's bring Walter back to a front profile. And I'm just going to right-click him and remove the animation. Let's do some dancing now. So I'm going to go back into iClone here. Let's go down to our, we have a dance motion pack, Street Dance, the popping Street Dance pack right here. And let's select this Groove 01. So I'm going to select the Groove 01. We'll Alt-Tab back over to CrazyTalk Animator, apply that to Walter. And you can see Walter kind of just grooving along there. And this is the grooving motion that we're going to be dealing with right here. A couple things right there. You may notice that we have a little bit of a layer issue. So if I select, say for example, you can see at this point here, his left hand is kind of going behind his thigh somehow. Either he's, going into his pocket, or else we have a sprite layer issue here. So what I want to do is fix that right away. So let's go ahead and at the very beginning of the motion, at this motion we don't really want his hands to be behind his torso at any time. So I can just select, zoom in really quick here, and go to my layer key editor, layer editor here, and I select my hand, and I can just move my hand in front of my character's thigh, and that'll be a permanent change. We can also do that with the right hand as well. If we select the right hand from the dummy on the right here, and go in front of the thigh. We can either select it from this image right here or on the actual character. So let's take a look, make sure that everything's going okay with our groove now. You can see he's grooving along, hands in the right place. We're all good. And then, oh, we see a little bit at the end, we see a little bit of a glitch with the hand there. Let's go after into the timeline. Let's take a look. Let's go frame by frame and see exactly which frame that is. Let's go back to our motion here. So we'll go frame by frame, just using our arrow keys here. And you can see, oh, we have a little bit of issue there. It's kind of strange how he's just popping into that angle right there. Now we can fix this with sprite replacement, or we can also use our 3D motion key editor, which is down here. So let's select our character, or let's go to the layer editor first here. Select our character, and let's go into our 3D motion key editor right here. You can also use the M hotkey. And this is a really quick fix with the 3D motion key editor. Let's just select that hand there, and if I zoom in, I can just use the E hotkey to switch over to a rotation gizmo, and then just rotate that ever so slightly, and you'll see that a keyframe will appear in our 3D motion layer editor track, and that popping, or that popping is an ironic term for this case, but that glitch will be taken care of. So we've adjusted the angle there, and we're all good to go. Let's try one more quick example. You can see here that when we groove, if I want to add some more perspective or some more kind of like, back and forth, more depth feel to this, let's see what else I can do with the 3D motion key editor. So I'll zoom out a little bit right here, and you can see that at this point here, maybe at this frame here, I want him to kind of lean back. So let's go to the side of our dummy character on the top here, select his spine, and let's just kind of rotate his body back like that. So almost like he's really leaning back like that. And you can see a keyframe appears in the 3D motion layer editor there, or in the 3D motion layer track rather. And let's go ahead and do this a couple times. So back when he's at his kind of peak right here, we'll just go and reset that back to the normal position. And you can see he'll transform back to his normal position. And about here, we want him to kind of, go back again, rotate back. Not lean back too far, otherwise it'll look kind of silly, but about here. Let's go back to our reset position. And we just go do this for the entire motion. So maybe about here, we want our character to be leaning back again. This keyframe might be a little bit too early. Try and space this out a bit more evenly. Right here. And then let's see, about here, go back to the reset position, and then go again. We can copy and paste this normally, but this one is a little bit off tempo. Not every lean is correctly timed. So we of course want to go frame by frame here and just do this really quickly. Up there, like leaning back a little bit again, and then up here, reset to the normal position, and let's move our timeline a little bit forward. And there, lean back, and up here, reset, and just a couple more to go. There we go, we lean back right there. And after this, I'm going to show you the perspective effect as well on your characters. So here we'll just reset that back to normal, and then there we can just leave that as it is. So because I did all those little keyframe edits with our 3D motion key editor there, take a look at the perspective effect we get. So he kind of leans back, leans back, leans back, like that. So despite wearing a shirt and tie, Walter's got some groove going on here. Now let's give him some even more groove. Let's go into edit menu here, and affected by 3D motion, you can also use Control-Shift-O. And you can see here we have a slider called perspective strength. Now, perspective strength determines the amount of perspective effect that CrazyTalk Animator 2 will kind of add onto that 3D motion that you have currently applied. So if I had this a lot higher, take a look at the sprites of my character. CrazyTalk Animator will modify them a lot more, skewing them and stretching them and kind of minimizing them to give a feeling of depth with the motion. So you saw the kind of groove before. Let's take a look now at this groove when we have the perspective strength at 5. So you can see now he leans back like really far like that, kind of bobbing a lot more. We get a lot more of a depth feel to that motion, and that's basically what the perspective strength does for your character. So we've done sprite switching, we've done layer editing, we've done a little bit of 3D motion stuff. Let's do one final example. Let's start a new project here, and let's bring in a different character. So we'll go new project up here on the top. We don't need to save this project for now. We'll go to our content manager. Let's go ahead and bring in Emma, since we haven't used Emma yet. And Emma's going to be doing our superhero jump in just a moment. So let's go over Alt-Tab over to iClone here, and we're going to apply a monster motion pack. Motion from our Monster Motion Volume 1 content pack. So let's go to Monster Motion Volume 1, and we'll go to our Move folder, and we're going to be applying this jump to our character. So if I click and drag this, I can, again, just apply that directly to Emma. And you can see why I zoomed out so much, because she's jumping super high there. And then we'll go back to iClone here. Let's use our jump loop, and tab back over to Emma. She's doing her midair kind of anti-gravity loop there. And then we'll go and jump end, and we'll apply that as well. And she'll end her jump. Now, if I wanted to, I can actually find any of these items in the Explorer window as well. If I select it and I use this button here, Find File, you can find any of these motions right here. You can copy them and place them wherever you want. You can even place them in the custom folder of your CrazyTalk Animator, directory, whatever you'd like. But let's go back into Animator right now, and let's go ahead and fix this motion. So I'm going to select it, and we'll see what we need to fix right away here. So let's go through this frame by frame. I'm going to press F3, go into my timeline here, select my character. If you select this button up here, it'll make sure that that character is selected. The track will appear in the timeline, whatever you have selected. So let's go ahead and go into our 3D motion. Zoom in a little bit on our timeline. We're going to be using mainly the 3D motion key editor for this example. So let's go ahead and go frame by frame through the timeline. You can see right there we kind of have a weird popping. It may look a lot better if our character doesn't pop into that pose right there. You can see the feet are kind of just popping up like that. So let's go down to where she's at the lowest point of her jump, which is about right here, right before she kind of launches off. And let's go into our motion key editor right here. We can also use the M hot key again. And you can see in our motion key editor panel on the right here, our dummy's kind of really crouched really low. Now what I can do is, because the feet are locked, I can actually just select the hip bone, use the W hotkey to toggle my transform gizmo, and just kind of drag that up a little bit, and you can see that the legs will kind of pop back into place there. That's going to give him the perspective feel to the legs. And you can see maybe we need to do it a little bit earlier as well. Right here. Maybe we can just drag that hip up right here as well. Right there. Just so it pops back into that other sprite. And you can see that we should be good to go right there. So she's kind of crouching and then just launching. You can see how fast she launches right there. Now let's take a look. Let's play this back in real time and take a look. Because we adjusted the root of the character, the hip bone rather, there's going to be a little bit of an issue with the position of the character when transitioning to the second clip. So let's go ahead and play that. And you can see that right here, pop. It kind of just pops back into a weird position right here. Now to avoid that, right here, maybe before the second clip starts, I can just click anywhere in my 3D Motion Layer Editor track here. And let's go ahead and reset our motion back to the normal clip right there. So now you can see we shouldn't have, we do have a little bit of an issue there right here before she jumps. And again, that's easily fixed. You can just click and drag her hip bone up like that. Just add another keyframe, it doesn't really matter. as long as we get that taken care of and we have that position correct. Now, if I don't want her, knee to be popping up like this, I can adjust that as well. You can see she's even out of the motion editor, key editor window there. She's jumping so high, doing like a matrix style jump. And here we can select the thigh, but in order to rotate the thigh in this case, we need to unlock the feet. So let's go ahead and unlock the feet right here. And I can use the E hotkey to toggle my rotate gizmo. And boom, there we go right there. And let's just go frame by frame from here. And you can see that, here we probably want to, rotate that leg out there again. Let's see if that worked. Nope, we need to do it earlier on as well. So any frame where that leg is, popping into that weird position, we can just, rotate it back to the regular position there. Don't worry about how many keyframes you're adding there. It's all going to be fixed later on. And, rotate that thigh one more time. And that thigh is really, need to just rotate it one more time there. Let's hope none of these keyframes. Okay, so that blended quite well. We don't no longer have the thigh popping up, except for here. Just move that one into place. And you can see that's where the clips are blending, so that may have caused an issue there. And so maybe about here, where her leg is kind of popping back like that, it's kind of a weird popping, her right leg, you can see there. So maybe about here, let's go to this frame and let's select the calf, the lower leg of that sprite, and move that one back. Now let's add another keyframe. So about here, we can do the same thing. Just bring that out, and it just creates a smoother overall look to the motion. There she's kind of and then right before she pops back into place, or right before she descends rather, her leg kind of pops up, and so we'll just modify that. And again, we'll just go frame by frame through the timeline to make sure everything worked out okay, and we're good to go. But then of course you can see when she lands that she's popping back into that weird position right there. Now notice that every time I start a new clip here, so we have 3 clips, every time I start a new clip, the transform positions are all reset. So any transforms I made in this clip will not transfer over to this clip, despite the fact that they're side by side. So let's just go down to here, and where she's landing, maybe out here. Let's just go ahead and bring her hips up. Again, select the hips, use the W hotkey, and move that up like that. Oh, okay, we need to Control Z that, because what we need to do is we need to lock the feet one more time. So if I move her up without locking her feet, then her whole body will actually move up. So let's go ahead and lock those feet. And you can see we have the transform and rotate locks. You have the option of pinning both of those at the current position. So the feet are pinned right now, and let's just move that up a little bit. There we go, and that should be okay. We might have to do one more frame. Nope, we're good. And then because I moved that position up, let's zoom in a little bit on her landing, and let's take a look at where her feet are relative to the position where she landed. So she kind of landed right there, almost at the world axis, but you can see it here. She's kind of almost like floating away, and the reason for that is because I adjusted the position of the hip, which transformed her whole body there. And so maybe out here, what we can do is we can just reset this back to normal again, and then she should pop back into a regular position. So let's see what this does right there, and we're good. Soft landing, 10.0 landing. Alright, so let's zoom out and take a look at our final motion right here. Zoom out a little bit on our character. We need to zoom out quite a bit because we can't, she jumps pretty high here. So, boom. There we go. So we have our nice cartoon jump right there. If we wanted to, we can even add in a scene. Let's go to our content manager and scene. Let's go ahead and add in, any one of these scenes right here. We have this scene from our content pack. Maybe just add in this gym. Since she's in the gym, we can just double click on that. And I'll just go over here, maybe bring our character. At frame 1, we can position our character wherever we want. And let's go ahead and do some quick camera animation here as well. Let's go ahead and zoom out, and let's scrub the timeline here when our character jumps up. At maybe about here, we want to kind of just move the camera a little bit forward, and that will add a keyframe. You can see I moved it slightly, and that'll add a keyframe there from where we could start our camera movement. And then here, where she's at the peak of her jump, we can do a quick zoom in on the character right here, and then you know, she'll do her loop. And maybe about here, we want to add another keyframe. Just a quick zoom out like that, and that'll add a keyframe in our camera track. And then where she lands, you know, we'll have we'll just scroll down like that. So let's take a look at this camera animation we did. Boom, like that, and then maybe the return is a little bit slow, but that's okay. If we want to adjust that, we can adjust that later. And of course, this motion should translate to other angles as well. If I click my character and translate to 45 degrees. Oh, you can see the second motion, it popped back into that that 0 degree profile there. So let's go ahead and fix that. If I select this character now and rotate her back to 0 degrees, let's press F3 and go into our timeline. And what I want to do is I want to save this motion now. Now, I can actually save this as a 2D motion or a 3D motion. All this data together is going to be saved as a single clip. So in order to do that, I need to open up my collect clip track here. And I can just click and drag the entire area right here that I want to save. And I can just right click that, and I can select export 3D motion, and that'll export this motion. All the clips will be combined, so they'll all be at a single profile. We won't have that issue where I popped from 0 degrees or 45 degrees back to 0 degrees. So let's go ahead and export 3D motion, and let's save this as super jump right there. Go ahead and save that. And let's apply another character to our scene here. Let's move over there, Emma. We have another character in the scene. Oh, we're at frame 13, so I need to Control Z that. Always make sure that when you're moving your characters, you should be at frame 1. So we'll just move the Emma character over that way. Let's go ahead and add someone else into our scene. Maybe we can add in Saul. Have Saul do a jump with Emma. We have a healthy couple right here. So we'll just bring Saul to about the same height. And let's select our, go to the animation tab right here. Custom, and our custom motion. There we have super jump. So let's apply that to Saul. Oh, and we have our camera motion. We can just turn that off for now. Let's go back to our regular camera, preview camera view here. So you can see that motion applied to Saul as well there. And now with Saul, if I press F3 and go into Saul's timeline, you can see in the 3D motion track we have that single clip. Whereas with Emma, if I go to 3D motion, that's all the data that I have. You know, there's 3 separate clips, all those keyframe edits that I did. So let's select Saul. And what I can do with Saul is at frame 1 here, I can go ahead and use my bracket key to switch into a 45 degree profile. And the entire motion will stay at the 45 degrees right there. And I can, you know, even do that at 90 degrees. So we'll just swap them over to 90 degrees there. Let's see what this one looks like. Zoom out a little bit so we can see below our timeline. Alright, so we have that 90 degree jump as well, and we can even, you know, turn him around. Let's move him at 180 degrees. We can view this from the, whoops, we can view this from the back as well. So if I just, there you go. So we have our motion that's 3D compatible. You can view from any one of the 8 angles of the character. And that was created by combining, you know, 3 separate iClone clips, a little bit of 3D motion key editing in CrazyTalk Animator. And, you know, of course, for example, if I wanted to make this his jump a little bit higher than Emma's, I can do that as well. So let's move him back to a 0 degree facing profile. And let's see who's the higher jumper here. So, for example, at Saul's, we can open up the transform track here. And we have a track at frame 1. Or sorry, a keyframe at frame 1, and we need to actually copy that, and we need to copy that until he's about to start his jump. So about here, you know, we can just paste that right there. And then about here, when he reaches the peak of his jump, which is about there, you can see the launch only takes about 2 frames, so it's a really quick launch. And let's move Saul up a little bit, somewhere like that, and then you know, we'll just copy this original position keyframe, transform keyframe, and then when he lands, we don't want him to land over there. We want him to land back at the original position, so we can just copy, paste that, and we want him to maintain this height, of course, for the entire time. So we'll copy that keyframe, and otherwise he's kind of slowly floating down, and you know, to maybe about this point right here, paste that, and there we go. So now we can see who's the higher jumper. Saul has a super high jump. These guys are really working out hard at this gym. There you go. All right, so that's you can kind of have fun and fool around with all these 3D motions, these iMotions from iClone. And like I said before, you know, the iClone library has thousands and thousands of motions, so it's really beneficial to have the iClone motion available to apply to any of your CTA characters. It makes your motion options basically limitless. You have like thousands and thousands of options for your motions, 3D motions and 2D motions. So that's about it for this tutorial. Hopefully you enjoyed watching, and if you have any questions, of course, feel free to email me at developer@reallusion.com, or you can also check out our forums for more help as well. Alright, so hopefully you found this tutorial useful, and thanks for watching.